In 2021, the District Municipality of Muskoka received provincial funding through the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks to conduct 12 technical projects coined Making Waves. The projects aim to examine existing conditions in the Muskoka River watershed, explore ways to reduce the impacts of flooding, and enhance watershed health. These projects will lay the foundation for an integrated watershed management approach for the Muskoka River watershed that seeks to manage human activities and natural resources together on a watershed basis, taking into consideration the connected interests and needs of the environment, economy, and society. The district has led the projects with assistance from an established community roundtable, which includes representatives from the Muskoka Watershed Council, area municipalities, local businesses, and various community organizations across the watershed. The reports and accompanying video presentations for the 12 projects have been prepared by consultants who specialize in the subject matter.
This slide shows the title of this project, Muskoka River Floodplain Mapping. The District Municipality of Muskoka retained HATS to carry out a detailed floodplain mapping study for selected high-priority areas within the Muskoka River watershed. HATS is a leading global engineering consulting firm and for much of its history has been actively involved in water resources development, planning, and management of a variety of projects in Canada and around the world. My name is Surendra Thapa and I am a project manager and civil engineer working at HATS for over 17 years. My area of specialization is water resources and I am currently managing this project. This slide contains a title, Introduction and Background, followed by a bulleted list. Flood risk maps were first created under Flood Damage Reduction Program in 80s and 90s. Muskoka River Water Management Plan was first implemented in 2006. Muskoka River watershed is approximately 5,100 square kilometers, of which approximately 700 square kilometers, about 15%, is covered by lakes. Recent floodings in 2008, 13, 16, and most recently in 2019 caused noticeable damage to municipal and personal properties, warranting a new study. As well, changing climate conditions warranted a new study. This slide contains a title, Floodplain Mapping Studies by HATS, followed by a bulleted list. DMM first commissioned HATS to carry out the Phase 1 floodplain mapping study, which was completed in 2020. The priority areas identified in Phase 1 included high population centers and the location that witnessed significant flooding in recent years. DMM subsequently retained HATS to carry out the Phase 2 study for additional priority areas. The remaining slides elaborate the scope, methodology, and outcome of the Phase 2 study completed in 2022. This slide is titled Scope of Study, followed by a bulleted list. It also contains a table showing the rivers and lakes included in this study. HATS study scopes primarily included topographic and bathymetric data collection, hydrology study, hydraulic modeling, and production of floodplain maps for the lakes and rivers listed in the table. This slide contains a title, Priority Areas in Phase 1 2020 and Phase 2 2022 studies, and a map of the Muskoka River watershed. Orange color shows the lakes such as Muskoka, Roseau, Joseph, Vernon studied in 2020. Purple color shows the rivers such as South Branch of the Muskoka River at Purbrook, Big East River, etc. studied in 2020. Yellow color shows the lakes such as Go Home, Skeleton, Healy, etc. studied in 2022. And pink color shows the rivers such as North Muskoka at Port Sydney, Moon Musquash rivers, etc. studied in 2022. This slide contains a title, Data Collection, LiDAR and Bathymetry, and list of bullet points. LiDAR data was collected for about 1,500 square kilometers in Phase 1 and 1,200 square kilometers in this phase. The data was then processed to generate 1 meter bare earth digital elevation model, DEM. The processed data incorporates water break lines and 0.5 meter interval contours. Bathymetry included cross-section survey along the rivers. This slide contains a title, LiDAR Data Collection, Area and Point Density, and two maps of the Muskoka River watershed. The map on the right shows the area surveyed in Phase 1, 2020, where the point density varied from 2.5 to 12.5 points per square meter. The map on the left shows the area surveyed in Phase 2, 2022, and the point density was 4 points per square meter. Accuracy is diminished when there is no clear line of sight to the Earth's surface due to thick vegetation cover, buildings, bridges, etc. This slide contains a title, Hydrology Study, and list of bullet points. Hydrology study established the regulatory floods for all lakes and rivers. The regulatory flood for the Muskoka Basin, which is in Zone 3 as per the MNRF's flood hazard criteria, is the greater of the following three: a flood resulting from the Timmins storm, the 100-year flood, and the flood of record. HEC HMS model was set up, calibrated, and simulated to determine the regulatory flood. This slide contains a title, Watershed Hydrological Features and WSC Gauge Locations, and includes a map of the Muskoka River watershed showing all rivers, lakes, and the location of Water Survey of Canada gauging stations. This slide contains a title, Timmins Storm Flood Routing for McKay Lake, and includes a graph of the flows and lake levels for 72 hours during the Timmins storm. Blue line shows the inflow to the lake with a peak flow of approximately 23 m3 per second. Green line shows the corresponding outflow with a peak flow of less than 6 m3 per second. The significant reduction in the outflow is due to available storage capacity of the lake. And the red line shows how the lake level changes with estimated maximum lake level of 301.73 meter. This slide contains a title, Hydrology Study Continued, and list of bullet points and a table. Both the 2013 and 2019 recorded peak flows throughout the basin exceeded the current 1 in 100-year flood estimate. The Timmins storm was found to yield the largest flood in the smaller catchments. Table 5-1 shows that 2019 flood was the regulatory flood for both north and south branch of Muskoka rivers and the Moon River. The 100-year flood is the regulatory flood for Musquash River and Black Rivers, whereas the Timmins storm is the regulatory flood for Bent River. This slide contains a title, Summary of Regulatory Lake Levels, and a table showing the estimated maximum water levels for all the lakes studied in this phase. This slide contains a title, Climate Change, and a table showing the recommended climate change escalation. While 5% escalation was considered appropriate for Moon and Musquash rivers, 15% escalation was applied for remaining rivers studied in this phase. This slide contains a title, Hydraulic Study, and list of bullet points. One-dimensional hydraulic model for each of the rivers in this phase was created using HEC-RAS. The model inputs primarily include the channel geometry derived based on the LiDAR and river bathymetric data, channel roughness, and boundary conditions. The hydraulic model was calibrated using available flow and water level data along the rivers. The model outcomes include the maximum water levels corresponding to the regulatory flood with the assumed climate change impact. This slide contains a title, Floodplain Maps, and list of bullet points. A typical floodplain map shows flood extents along the river and around the lake during the regulatory flood. Maps were produced using a scale of 1 in 2500 and included about 110 km of river reaches and 1160 km of lake shorelines. These floodplain maps will be useful for municipalities and individuals to plan developments, for authorities to identify critical infrastructure and population at-risk sites that might require protective measures, warnings, and evacuation plannings. The maps for Georgian Bay and 12-Mile Bay also show the 15-meter horizontal buffer. The next few slides show examples of floodplain maps prepared for the lakes and rivers. Since the analysis used to produce these maps have many variables, the map sets must be considered approximate and used only as a guideline with professional judgment. This slide contains a title, Floodplain Map, Georgian Bay, Honey Harbor to Port 7 Key Map. This map allows user to identify block numbers for the area of interest. For example, the next slide shows the detailed floodplain map for Area 5. This slide contains a title, Floodplain Map, Georgian Bay, Honey Harbor to Port 7 Map 5. As noted in the last slide, this is a detailed floodplain map for Area 5 of Georgian Bay. This slide contains a title, Floodplain Map, Lake of Bays Key Map. This map allows user to identify block numbers for the area of interest. For example, the next slide shows the detailed floodplain map for Area 4. This slide contains a title, Floodplain Map, Lake of Bays Map 4. As noted in the last slide, this is a detailed floodplain map for Area 4 from the Lake of Bays. This slide contains a title, Floodplain Map, North Muskoka River at Port Sydney Key Map. This map allows user to identify block numbers for the area of interest. For example, the next slide shows the detailed floodplain map for Area 6. This slide contains a title, Floodplain Map, North Muskoka River at Port Sydney Map 6. As noted in the last slide, this is a detailed floodplain map for Area 6 from North Muskoka River at Port Sydney. This slide contains a title, Recommendations, and include the following recommendations. Carry out site-specific studies for more suitable estimates of the required allowances for delineation of hazardous lands. Continue educating stakeholders to help better understand reasons for flooding and the associated risk. Consider adding a larger network of climate stations and flow gauges for future flood forecasting and flood studies. Continue the floodplain mapping for remaining areas within the district. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. To find out more about this and other integrated watershed management projects, or to learn more about integrated watershed management in the Muskoka River watershed, visit muskoka.on.ca/IWM projects.